Hey everyone! This week's First Chapter Friday is The Honest Truth by Dan Gemeinhart. So, your plot. In all the ways that matter, Mark is a normal kid. He's got a dog named Bo and a best friend, Jesse. He likes to take photos and write haiku poems in his notebook. He dreams of climbing a mountain one day, but in one important way, Mark is not like other kids at all. Mark is sick. The kind of sick that means hospitals and treatments, the kind of sick that some people never get better from. So Mark runs away. He leaves home with his camera, his notebook, his dog, and a plan. A plan to reach the top of Mount Rainier, even if it's the last thing he ever does. So, Chapter 1, before we start Chapter 1, you should know that this book has individual chapter headings. So, the book itself is counted down in miles as our main character makes his journey. So, Chapter 1, miles to go, 263. The mountain was calling me. I had to run away. I had to. And I didn't need anyone to go with me. I tightened the straps on my backpack and held the front screen door open with my foot. "Come on, Bo," I called, and my voice didn't shake one bit. It was strong, like me. Bo came rocketing out the door, his tail slapping my legs. He danced on his front paws on the porch, his mismatched eyes smiling up at me, his tongue hanging out happy. I bent down and scratched him behind the ears the way he loved, the way only I knew how to do. "You're always ready for a walk, aren't you, buddy?" He panted out a yes. "Well," I said, grabbing the handles of my duffel bag and standing up, "you're in for a doozy." I looked out to the horizon, to the white-topped mountains in the distance, the biggest walk of all, and that's the truth. I slammed the door behind me, and I didn't look back even once. I didn't worry about a key. I might not ever be coming back. Bo walked right up against my leg the whole 10 minutes down to the station. My camera swung and thumped against my stomach, dangling from a strap around my neck. When I saw the station up ahead, I ducked around a corner and crouched down in an alley. My breath came in nervous puffs. "All right, Bo, now, just like we practiced." I unzipped my duffel bag and spread it open. It was mostly empty. I patted the inside of it. "Come on, Bo, get on in." Bo stepped right in, spun around a couple of times, and then flopped down. He looked up at me. "God, you're a good dog," I whispered. His tail tried to wag inside the duffel. I fished in my pocket for a biscuit, and he snuffled it out of my hand in one chomping gulp. I zipped the duffel almost all the way closed. Bo disappeared into the darkness inside. I stood up, and Bo's weight pulled my shoulder down. I tightened my grip. "I'm glad you're not a St. Bernard," I whispered down to the duffel bag and then walked out around the corner and up to the ticket window. The man behind the window squinted up at me from the magazine he was reading. I straightened my bright red baseball cap and cleared my throat. "I need 2 tickets," I said. "Bus or train?" "Bus. To Spokane." "You traveling alone?" The word alone ran like a broken bell. I licked my lips. "My dad's in the bathroom," I answered. "He gave me money for the tickets." The man nodded and yawned. People are lazy. That's what I was counting on. "Okay, 1 adult, 1 child. Wenatchee to Spokane. That's $44. I pulled the money out of the pocket of my blue jacket and handed it to him. "Bus leaves in 10 minutes from right over there." I took the tickets and walked the way he pointed. A couple of buses were rumbling next to the curb. One said Spokane on the front, just like my tickets. I looked over my shoulder. The man behind the window had his eyes back down on his magazine. I walked right past the bus and around the corner of the building to the train platform. There was a little covered seating area I'd seen when I'd been making my plans. The one with the garbage can chained up behind it, mostly out of sight. I ducked around the garbage can, took a quick look around to make sure that no one was watching, then slipped off my blue jacket and stuffed it into the garbage. My red hat and the 2 bus tickets went in after it. I grabbed the dark green wool winter hat out of my backpack and pulled it on. When I turned to go, I felt the bulge in my pocket. I took a deep, shaky breath and pulled out the watch. It was an old-fashioned silver pocket watch with a round glass face, a present from my dead grandpa. I bit my lip. hard. I could feel it ticking in my hand. Tick, tick, tick. Time running out. Here's what I don't get. Why anybody would want to carry something around that reminds you that your life is running out. I threw the watch to the ground as hard as I could. It smashed against the concrete. The glass cracked, but didn't break. My jaw clenched and I stomped on it so hard my foot hurt. The glass shattered and I stomped again and the clock hands bent. And I stomped again and again. I had my foot raised for another stomp when I heard Bo whine from the duffel. My lungs were heaving. My breaths were hard and fast and my stomach was starting to feel sick. A thin ache had begun to poke in my head. Bo whined again. "It's okay, Bo," I panted and lowered my foot. I reached down to throw the watch into the garbage can, but stopped. I looked at the garbage can, looked at the ruined silver watch. I straightened up and felt the camera against my body. I lifted it to my eye and snapped a picture of the broken pieces of watch lying scattered on the ground. Then I kicked them behind the garbage can. When I walked around the corner, I saw the train waiting. It was sleek and silver and rumbling like a bottled earthquake. I fished in the pocket of my gray hoodie and found my train ticket, the one I'd ordered online the night before with the credit card I'd snuck out of my mom's purse. My belly lurched. "Heading to Seattle?" the lady asked when she took my ticket. I nodded and started to climb aboard. I didn't want her to remember me. "All by yourself? You need help with your bag?" I tried not to give her a dirty look. "No," I said without looking at her, and climbed up the stairs onto the train, my legs and fingers burning with Bo's weight. The train was mostly empty, and I found a seat in an empty row at the back of the car. Outside the big window was Wenatchee, the home I was leaving. The sky was getting dark. The low buildings and warehouses around the train tracks threw long shadows. The clouds were dark and heavy. A storm was coming, and so was night. Somewhere out there in that darkness was Jesse, my best friend, and my mom, and my dad. Their faces floated into my mind. They had no idea I was leaving. They had no idea where I was going. They wouldn't be able to find me, and they wouldn't be able to help me. I blinked my eyes hard and shook my head. "I don't need them," I whispered, squinting out at the town, the shadows. "I don't need anybody." It was true, maybe, but I didn't like how my words sounded more mean than strong. I touched the cold glass with my fingers, looking off into the distance toward the empty house my parents would come home to. "I'm sorry," I said even softer. "I'm sorry." I pulled a little notebook and pen from the outside pouch of my backpack. I flipped past my homework and doodles and opened to the first empty page, then thought for a minute. I felt around in my head, trying to find the words for the moment. An idea came, slow and shy. I nodded. I counted a couple of times on my fingers, my mouth moving silently with the words, and then I wrote them all down. Outside, I heard the call, "All aboard!" Then the rattling crash of a metal door closing. I looked down at the words I'd written on the paper. 3 lines. Alone, leaving home. A new journey, a new road. Off to mountains now. I slid my hand into the duffel bag on the seat beside me and found Bo's head. He licked my fingers. His tongue was wet and his breath was warm. He felt soft. He felt like a friend. I scratched him behind the ears and tried not to cry. I tried hard to remember that I wasn't scared of so much. I let my head fall back on the seat and tried not to think about anything but mountains. In a couple of hours, my mom would get home. And a couple hours after that, the police would start looking for me. And that is chapter 1. So Dan Gemeinhart has written several books that are in this library. So if you enjoyed that, you are welcome to check this out. It's shelved in our health section because it is actually more about health than it is adventure, though there is plenty of adventure in this. So run by your library and grab a copy if that sounded good.